Grohl, Shin-Soo Choo. It's good to see you after, I think, too long of a hiatus. We are back. It's good to be here. My name is Gabe Estel. I am here with my co-hosts Jonathan Getz and Dennis Levi Leach. How's it going, guys?
Going good.
All right. Good to see everybody again. Obviously, a few weeks have passed since our last episode, so we're ready to jump right back into it. We're going to be doing kind of a rundown tonight, so kind of 4 or 5 hot topics that we've got. And a lot has happened in baseball since our last episode. The biggest story probably being, and I know Levi is, this is like Christmas has come early for him.
Christmas in July.
That's right. Christmas in June. Yeah. Well, obviously the big story yesterday, the New York. I'm sure most people of our people who listen know, but the New York Times broke a story yesterday about the Cardinals hacking into the Astros database, essentially. So their database of players, because a guy that's with the Astros used to work for the Cardinals. And the passwords went unchanged, and he was just able to get in. So they didn't cover their tracks very well. And it's become a story. Obviously, as much kind of delight sometimes as I take in seeing the Cardinals fall, the investigation is still ongoing. They haven't really, seems like, reached a conclusion yet, but the FBI is involved.
Yeah.
So Levi, I know that I'm thinking maybe in some wing of your house you've got like one of those Glenn Beck style diagrams that link the Cardinals to 9/11. All right.
No. It's a very small.
Levi's like this when he heard the news yesterday. He's like, this is the final piece of the Illuminati.
It's just it's like a little closet, and there's lots of those tall Spanish candles burning. Right. And I set a mood is what I'm doing.
He just keeps burning cigarette holes on a Jose Oquendo card. He's got a Matt Carpenter voodoo doll that he has.
No.
So what do you make of this, Levi?
Well, we have to, preface everything we say with allegedly.
It's true. That's true.
But they saddled up today. They ponied up and they lawyered up and got, I guess, a bigger name, attorney firm to represent them. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens. We mentioned it when we were talking about doing this episode that, if found guilty, of every charge, what do you do? What do you punish them? Right. How do you punish them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, this is the idea of hacking in general is something that the Justice Department is really figuring out, going back to the tragedy that was Aaron Schwartz in that case and how they over punished him and he ended up committing suicide. But anyway,
or those people that were having sex on the beach a few weeks ago, all right?
Right.
That was over punishment. Anyway, I'm sorry. Let's go on.
It'll be interesting, what could the Justice Department do, and then what could baseball do? And this would be kind of Rob Manfred's first big decision to make, sure. In addition to probably eventually the DH and the All-Star game, but we'll talk about that later. What do you dock them draft picks? Do you just fine them exorbitantly?
Yeah, because it's weird because there's nothing the players did. Usually when something like this happens, it's something that a player committed.
Right.
When fines are imposed, and the players, even though they're the Cardinals, they're innocent in this. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess the closer comparisons would be like what the Patriots have been accused of over the last few years.
Right.
With their Spygate, things like that where it is more front office stuff and the players aren't involved, and they were, they might get docked a draft pick or fined. It'll be interesting. It's kind of new territory. The Cardinals are the trailblazers for 21st century baseball cheating.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and obviously this whole thing, I guess when I first heard the news, of course I was like, well, because and for all the Cardinals fans out there, like, please keep listening to the podcast. This is all in jest. Okay, all right. Yeah. This is all in jest. I don't think the Cardinals are Al Qaeda. All right. But anyway, they are a very well run, at least prior to this. They are a well run organization. But I always, and I respect that. I do. Because I do think they run a pretty good operation as far as developing talent. I'll give them that. And they always seem like they've got good scouting and good people coming through the pipeline. I guess just I get a little sick sometimes of hearing about the Cardinal way, and just kind of this narrative that just keeps Levi. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah. This narrative that just they beat me over the head with, that like this is just the most Mayberry team.
Yeah, it's this is a holier than thou type of.
Yes, this Norman Rockwell shit.
Yeah,
they try to put off on this team.
Absolutely,
it's on my nerves.
Yeah. I don't. I was thinking back about that. Like, I don't know when it started. Maybe like
McGuire,
like early 2000s. Yeah, that's what I was
coddling McGuire and his rampant, obvious steroid use.
And ever since then, I think that should be part of the punishment, though. They should never be able to say the Cardinal way again.
That's right. That's a fitting punishment. I'll say that. Yeah.
They got to do
about semantics.
They got to do the Disco Sucks night where everybody brings their Cardinals way shirt and they have to burn it and stuff.
I could get behind that. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that I heard Tom Verducci on Dan Patrick today, and he was being a little too casual about it. And saying that, look, this is the Cardinals, one of the best organizations in baseball. What are they going to get from the Houston Astros, one of the worst organizations record-wise over the last few decades? But they've had, they have what's considered the best farm system in baseball now for a few years.
Astros are kind of the team of the future right now.
Yeah, they're in first place, so the future is now, sort of thing.
That's like I don't know. That's like Watergate. Nixon probably would have won.
Yeah, right.
Why'd he break in?
Yeah, right.
That's a good analogy. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think some people are being a little flippant about traditionally, the Astros have sucked, but if anybody, and it's surprising because Verducci knows more than anybody what kind of farm system that they've had, that there's information to be gleaned there, and especially with what they said that was leaked were these trade negotiations that were going on, and how they were trying to kind of smear the Astros after the negotiations fell apart. That's a big deal.
To me,
for these ball clubs,
I think it's a big, I'm not gonna say it's like the Black Sox thing or anything, or I'd put it up with Pete Rose. I don't know, you know what I mean? It's like the same. Him gambling is that level of cheating to me.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
All of us growing up in Central Illinois, obviously we were surrounded by Cardinals fans, and still have a lot of good friends who are Cardinals fans. Everybody on Facebook, at least, has been pretty silent on. I haven't seen much commentary from anyone.
The few Cardinals fans I know posted "Congrats Blackhawks" stuff the last couple days.
Diversion.
Tried to divert it.
How about those Blackhawks? Right. Yeah, I went to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. I looked at some of their comments, and the refrain was basically like, "Let's wait until the investigation's over." That was.
Yeah, and that's that. If you're a fan of the team, that's what you're going to say.
Sure,
that's understandable because it is egg on your face, and the best thing that you can say, really, out of a defense is, "Well, let's just see what they end up saying. Let's wait."
Yeah, right. I've got a buddy who's a Pats fan, and he'll be the first to admit that they pull some shady shit.
Yeah.
But he's still a fan.
There's a lot of Yankee fans.
Right.
Yeah, and
some of them are halfway decent people.
And I don't like this idea that if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Where in baseball, they're always stealing signs and things like that. And it's like, no, this is a lot different than the subtle cheating that might go on during a game,
like an espionage type thing. All right.
Yeah. And granted, it wasn't very sophisticated. It was just a redundant password that 90% of Americans make the mistake of using.
Right.
Yeah. It's amazing how low level, you know what I mean? Like the intelligence of the people that did this didn't cover their tracks at all.
No, no, they could have very easily used like a different IP address, and so it was an IP address of a dude's house. But and Verducci was saying, well, why would there be multiple high level Cardinals guys at this one house, because they would all have different houses. Turns out it was in Arizona. It was during spring training, and that's when they share houses.
The whole organization was there.
That's when that's when you bunk up probably. And sure enough, spring training. That's the time when you got a little bit of time on your hands and you can do a little advanced scouting, so to speak.
We've got this image in our head of like the GM like smoking a big cigar, and log into the password.
It's like just one light shining.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But we'll see. All I can say is we'll see how it unfolds. For those who haven't read it, the Deadspin piece yesterday is a real gem. It's just called "Eat Shit Cardinals." That's the title of it. And even if they are completely innocent, and even if these accusations are overblown, and maybe they are to a certain degree, it's still a very worthwhile read, because there's some people at Deadspin that just really do not like the Cardinals at all.
Like, I thought I did not like the Cardinals.
Right. Yeah, Levi's pretty much downright friendly to the Cardinals compared to
I would take the Cardinals to prom still compared to these people.
Yeah. And you know what? I'll be the first to admit I'm jealous of their success. I wish we had their talent.
For sure. But at some point it turned from them being good fans because they cheer the opposing team or whatever, and Costas lauds them, and Costas is a part of them. And then something happens. It's very nuanced. It's a fine line where people are tired of hearing that shit.
Yeah. Right.
And it's through maybe no fault of their own, but eventually it is, because then you pick up on the little things and they're magnified and you get annoyed by them.
Right.
So it's funny how that's turned over the last 10 years.
Well, so the image is maybe a little tarnished. The Redbird, maybe it's there's probably a lot of bad headlines around newspapers right now, like Redbird's feathers ruffled. I haven't read any newspapers what they're talking about this aside from the New York Times article, but I'm sure there's some bad headlines right now, like Cardinals caught red-handed, things like that.
Well, that'd be the New York Post.
Yeah, sure. Right. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see how it unfolds, and it'll be fun to watch, at least for non-Cardinals fans like us. But anyway, moving on to another team in Missouri. I got to admit, Getz, I got a little bad taste in my mouth now with both Missouri teams. All right.
Right.
Yeah. The Royals have been, their fans at least, have been accused of, I don't necessarily, hijacking's too strong of a word, because they're operating within the rules of voting.
Well, it's just
game.
like,
I guess the question is, has all-star voting by fans run its course? And is this the Royals, the way this is unfolding, is it indicative of that? That it's running its course. For those of you who don't know, if the All-Star game started today, the American League would be Royals and Mike Trout. All right, that's what the All-Star starting nine.
That's what America wants, obviously.
That's obviously Kansas City.
More Omar Infante batting ninth.
Right. And don't get me wrong, the Royals are having a great year, and there are some guys on that team that definitely deserve to be All-Stars, particularly Moustakas, and maybe Hosmer. and probably Hosmer.
Kane.
So Getz, what do you make of this? I mean, you're a fan, but at the same time, you have to see that this is kind of gone overboard, right?
I think it's obvious what's happened, that the Cardinals are no longer the greatest fans in baseball, but it's the Royals because a team goes to the World Series for the first time in 29 years, and the city gets behind them so much that they're quitting their jobs just so that they can stay home and vote the Royals into the All-Star game. We have this startup village here when Google Fiber moved in, and tech is really booming here in Kansas City, and I think it's obvious. But all of the tech firms are targeted towards getting the Royals into the All-Star game with, maybe they figured out an algorithm to where they can vote 40 times instead of just 35. But no, seriously, it's neat. First of all, that the K is that Kauffman Stadium where the Royals play is so packed every night.
It's good to see.
I'm not saying it's sold out, because that doesn't really happen unless you're in a couple cities.
Last year, their attendance, even despite playing well, wasn't that great until the playoffs.
It was the same. Yeah, there's a delay there. I think when a team does well, it's like when you're bad for so long.
Right. That
the fans are still like, yeah, I don't believe it.
Sure.
Maybe next year we'll go. And now it is next year, and so it's nice to see the renewed vigor, spirit of the city. Because when they went to the series last year, it was amazing, the energy throughout the city. I've never seen anything like it. Just even walking in some parts of town, you still see remnants of it with whole buildings painted with Royals, with the Royals logo, and so.
And it's a smaller city too, so it's probably more prevalent than this would have happened in New York or Chicago or something. Yeah, right.
Yeah. We don't have a basketball team. We don't have a football. I'm sorry, we don't have a hockey team. So the professional sports is somewhat limited here. So when it happens, the city really gets behind it. And I think that's really shown itself now. And I mean, at the end of the day, no, guys like Omar Infante should not be getting in. Alcides Escobar is just for his defense maybe. And it's the merit of what they done last year. This is not unprecedented for all-star games and professional sports, for players getting in on, Derek Jeter getting in when he's batting like 220 with 4 home runs, and
Cal Ripken got in all the time,
right.
And don't get me wrong, he mostly, Cal Ripken was pretty consistent throughout his whole career, but I'm sure there were a few years where he didn't deserve to make the All-Star team, and he did. Yeah.
So what's the fix here? And I always thought that the All-Star game, the idea of voting, if it's going to be by fans, then it should just be an exhibition. It shouldn't count for anything. It shouldn't count for nothing. Then it's just fun. It's an exhibition. So what? Then lower your expectations. The ratings aren't going to be high. Get over it. But have a home run derby, have a game. It'll be fun. But if we're getting rid of the fan voting, then that would make sense that it means something, because there's going to be more strategy behind it. So maybe it does take it to a different level.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe lower the percentage of the vote or something, like split the vote to where, the baseball managers, staff, organizations, they vote for 75%, and the fans that vote accounts for 25% or something.
That makes sense. Yeah, I see where you're going.
Yeah, you could divvy it up like that. I mean, still keep the fan participation there.
Yeah, but it's more weighted.
Personally, I don't know if I'm that against it this year, because I mean, nothing against the Royals, but the Royals and Mike Trout, I don't know if they could beat all the good players of the National League.
Well, if all the National League first basemen are strewn about the infield,
right?
You're pretty deep at first base in the National League.
Yeah, it's amazing.
yeah, definitely. The All-Star game has we talked about this a little bit, I think, last year during the All-Star game. I can't really pinpoint why. Maybe it's just because I think baseball's popularity's taken a little bit of a hit in recent years. The All-Star game has kind of lost some of its luster. I don't know if it was maybe after that tie that Selick did 10 or 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Where he called the game, But when and this is just nostalgia. I really looked forward to it when I was growing up.
Oh yeah, it was an event.
Even during like those grim years where the White Sox like had only like Harold Baines going to the All-Star game, I still looked forward to it. But now it's just, it's I don't know. I mean, I guess it's still probably the biggest All-Star game, but All-Star games in general aren't really celebrated that much anymore.
Right. Yeah. Why does everything have to have the expectation of like Super Bowl ratings? Why can't everybody just be happy with an 8 share or whatever it's going to be?
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
You know what I miss? I miss the old Rockin' Jock. Remember the MTV? They would do like a softball one. They would do like a Rockin'
basketball.
Jock basketball. Yeah. Like a football one.
Dude, that was
like
fun.
Mel Biv DeVoe on it. Yeah. All right.
Jeff Ament would do the basketball one.
Yeah. Those are fun. Yeah. Bring those back.
Yeah. Well, they do something close to that with MLB All-Star Weekend. They have a celebrity game.
Yeah. Right.
Is it only aired, I'm guessing, on the MLB Network?
Probably? Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it generates much buzz. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know like what's changed really since we were kids, and maybe just because we can't maybe watch it with such undivided attention like we did when we were kids. But I mean the essence is still there. I don't know what else would have changed other than people's expectations. What do they want out of it? Just like watch a bunch of awesome players play. I guess one thing that has changed is back then you didn't get to see these players, and now you can see any of these players on any given night.
That's true.
Watching MLB Tonight, when they go around the league, watching just some random game with a national broadcast.
You can buy a cable package where you can see every game. Yeah. Yeah, the exposure is, and with the internet as well, highlights are at your fingertips. Like it's maybe it's I don't know, been oversaturated or something.
But with that even being said, there's not just oversaturated with that, but all this media that we really don't even have time to go and digest everything that MLB has to offer. Where the past couple weeks, because the NHL and NBA playoffs have been going on, I haven't been able to catch that much MLB. I've just been looking at box scores and I've been bummed haven't been able to watch MLB Tonight that much. And so it can kind of play both ways to where, the All-Star game can still provide you with those players that you just haven't had time to check out.
Yeah, absolutely. And like when I looked at some stats tonight before the show, I'm with you as well, and I've been working on some other stuff as well with my doc exams and all that, so I've been a little bit out of the loop other than just getting the scores. So it was kind of nice. I'm like, oh wow, he's having a really good year, so that was kind of nice to see. All right, so we'll see how it goes. I mean, I guess there's 2 weeks left to vote, right? Something like that. July 2nd, the voting is?
July 2nd or so.
Yeah. Okay. So if you haven't voted yet, go out and vote. We will vote, certainly. All of us will vote. I'll need to catch up on some stats, but I'll certainly vote. And you're right, Jonathan. MLB does have a nice kind of interface with the page.
But I'm going to go ahead and call shenanigans here, because for me, the number one Google result takes you to the page with only the Dodgers selected. Because when you go to the page, you can select just by team, which, by the way, is part of the problem we're talking about. You can select just all the players from the Royals, for example.
Oh, really?
But the default page, number one in the Google results for me at least, all of the Dodgers are selected by default.
Right.
It's not working for him.
But, let's get that out. Let's get that Andre Ethier going. All right.
The Dodgers and their 5 outfielders.
Yeah, one last thing about the All-Star does the rule still apply that every team has to have at least one representative go?
Yes.
That still exists. Yes. Okay. All right.
And I think if it doesn't mean anything, that's fine. But if it means something, then that shouldn't be a rule.
Yeah. Because it's like, man, trying to think here, like, who would go on the White Sox?
Abreu.
Abreu and or Avisail Garcia would be the only worth. It'll be one of them. It'll probably be Abreu.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe maybe David Robertson. You know, like, I mean, I don't necessarily think he's had the save opportunities because he's playing for a bad team right now. But he's when he's been out there, he's been really good.
You know, your team is shit when you just get like a middle reliever in.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
The Royals had a few years of just middle relievers getting in.
Right.
Like the manager just like selects one just out of pity.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say about it is, I would say how it's become this way is the internet, obviously, because I think didn't you had to go to a game and you got one of those little paper ballots with like the little chads,
and they stopped it this year or last year.
Yeah, and so like that was the only way you could vote, really, before the internet. Yeah. So
go to a game. Maybe sometimes like I'd see them like this is like kind of like in between.
Issue a Sports Illustrated.
Issue a Sports Illustrated. Like once in a great while, maybe did they have them at like gas stations or convenience stores sometimes?
Yeah. Really? Unical 76.
Yeah, like between like kind of like late 90s or so, like when they were kind of like transitioning, early 2000s when they were kind of like transitioning to the online ballots. Yeah. So anyway,
evolution of the All-Star ballot.
Internet killed the All-Star game.
Yeah, right. Where is it? Cincinnati this year, right?
Yeah.
By the way, how little I'm into it. I don't even know.
The internet, imagine that, where you can easily make uninformed decisions. Facilitating that since 1998.
Right. All right. Next up, we've got a little bit of a kerfuffle between Donald Trump and Neil Young, which Donald Trump, being the completely credible presidential candidate that he is, played "Rockin' in the Free World" at his campaign launch. And, Neil replied to it and was upset that he used the song without permission. So I guess the issue really here is, a couple issues. Politicians using musicians' songs without permission, which this happens all the time. Like, there's pretty documented, like, Sarah Palin using Barracuda from Heart. And, it's never like permission is granted unless it's like, Bruce Springsteen giving a song to some Democrat or something, like that's like the only time like it seems to be.
Tom Petty, I think, railed against somebody doing it.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
Probably like Running Down a Dream or something like that. Free Fall.
Bruce will give you a song, but he's like, you can only have a B-side.
Right. So the issue here is, using songs without permission. It's usually like kind of like a cease and desist thing, right? I mean, I don't know. Has anyone ever gone to court over it?
I don't know how much that there is, legally speaking. Do you know, Levi?
No. I was gonna say, who was the one? Was it we were talking about Fortunate Son? Didn't John Fogerty sue somebody for using that? A politician?
I imagine, I don't know, John Fogerty at one point got sued for playing Fortunate Son.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't even think that really there's a cease and desist option, because essentially you're just playing it in public. Playing it once.
You could do at a school dance if you wanted to,
Right. But I think that the backlash makes it totally not worth it for any politician, because as soon as the artist starts speaking up about it, that gains headlines.
Right, and it's with Donald Trump announcing the presidency yesterday, which I assume that's something you want people to pay attention to. The story's already been crowded out by this issue with Neil Young. You know what I mean? Like the launch of the presidential campaign.
Well, and I hate to say it, but it's just played out. This could have happened in 1992. Did Donald Trump run back then? He's tried to run for president a few times.
Yeah, he's a joke.
And it's like, I think Neil Young would have been pissed at pretty much anybody for using his song.
Well, what dumbass picked "Rockin' in the Free World" without actually listening to "Rockin' in the Free World"? It's the same dumbass who picked Born in the USA.
Yeah. I would assume it's just one of his campaign handlers. I have a feeling Donald Trump's probably never heard the song, or if he has, he just knows like the "Rockin' in the Free World" part. Right. He only knows the chorus. That's my guess.
I hope he chose it, but I don't think he did. But I hope he did.
When we go over to his house, which is probably pretty nice, and he's got like every Neil Young record. He's like, "Told you."
He's like, "On the Beach" is my fave. Fuck.
Right.
If he comes out to Ambulance Blues in the next one, then we're talking.
He's got like the Weld tour T-shirt on, kind of fits him a little too snugly, right?
He's like, "You want to do some honey sliders with me?"
Yeah. Here's the deal: it's like this parallel universe. You go over to his house, and Donald Trump's like totally an all right guy. You know what I mean?
Right?
Like he's just,
there are people like that.
He's like, it's all an act. All right. Like, seriously.
It's like I had to keep it going. I wrote a couple books in the 80s, and then I bought some buildings, and here the fuck I am.
He's like, it's a shtick. Don't tell anybody, all right?
Plugs in his Les Paul, just like starts going off for 30 minutes.
He's like an awesome
Feedback.
guitarist, too. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just like, fuck.
Yeah, he's like totally a Democrat as well. He's just like, I don't tell anybody how I vote. This is just.
He's like, I'm not going to get elected. Don't worry about it.
Right.
I'm just spending my money how I want to spend my money.
Yeah. That would be. It would be funny if this is all kind of a joke, which I guess it is, maybe unintentionally.
We're all being punked.
One of my favorite descriptions of Donald Trump is, I was reading. There's a really good essay. I can't remember if it's in like one of the men's magazines, like Esquire, or GQ, or Details, something like that. But you can find it online. Penn Jillette, from Penn and Teller.
Yeah.
He was on The Celebrity Apprentice a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about just kind of like being on the show and how stupid it is. And, he described Donald Trump the best. He's like, his hair I would describe as windswept piss. He said is how that hair looks when it's going over. I was like, that's a pretty good description, man. It's, if you have time, it's a pretty funny read. It's just.
Well, did you see his announcement yesterday after he announced he was running? They quoted him as saying he thought Oprah would make a really good vice president. So, yeah, I was like, wow.
Yeah, this is got money to burn, I guess.
Well, as Neil Young once said, there ain't nothing like a friend who can tell you you're just pissing in the wind.
That's right.
I think that's Donald's campaign.
Probably true. Good stuff. All right. One thing before we go on, Levi, we haven't talked about the Cubs. They're still doing pretty well.
Yeah, they're still playing above 500. I want to say they're 5 or 6 games, I think, at least.
Yeah.
And I haven't got to see an update, but when we started, they were still winning, I believe, 10-0.
Yeah.
They scored 10 runs before the 4th inning tonight. Kyle Schwarber's second game tonight, currently. And he got a triple, I think, in his first at bat, and an RBI as well. So
I'm a little out of it. I didn't even know they called him up.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Yeah, he's wow. Because they just drafted him last year.
He's going to be here through Sunday. He is our designated hitter while we're playing our interleague games.
Oh, you're in Cleveland right now, aren't you? Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. The only thing, Levi, I see going forward now that's going to get a little bit trickier is the Pirates have started.
Oh yeah, all of a sudden they've turned it on, man.
Yeah. They just these games that they have just manhandled the White Sox, which isn't that hard to do anymore. But I think the Monday night game again, they beat the White Sox 11-0. It was just
it'll be interesting because I think when they meet again, they're two different teams than what they were earlier this year.
Absolutely.
So it'll be interesting. It should be a good battle.
Yeah, definitely. That'll be a good series. I assume they play him probably a couple more times at least.
Oh yeah,
so the Cubs are hanging in there. White Sox not so much. Royals still doing pretty well too.
Does Ventura make it beyond the All-Star break?
I've gone back and forth with this. At first, I was like, you asked me like over a month ago, I'd have been like, he's gone. Like a week and a half ago, I've been like, he'll be all right.
They were just a couple games under 500 at one point.
Yeah, right.
You thought that he'd be okay.
2 or 3 games under 500 at one point. Now we've lost 6 straight now.
He's gone.
Yeah. I think so. I would agree, and I'm kind of at a point where I really don't care if he stays or goes, because all I want is the team to improve.
Right.
If they can bring in
I
somebody
think if
better,
that town can fire Thibodeau, then Ventura should lose his job.
Yeah.
Is Joey Cora available?
Yeah, Joey Cora. I don't know. The White Sox they kind of exercise a little more patience than a lot of other franchises do. Maybe to their demise sometimes. I don't know. But we haven't. I saw this earlier today when I was reading about kind of the state of Ventura, and we haven't fired a manager mid-season since '95, and we've only fired a manager mid-season twice. That once in '95, there was a guy named Gene Lamont.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That managed the team. We fired him.
Was that because he didn't get along with Thomas?
I don't know. I don't remember the reasons. I assume it's just because we were playing poorly.
Poorly?
Yeah, I mean, they fired him early, too. They fired him, like, in May.
Wow.
Yeah, like at the end of May. Yeah. And then in 1986, which was, like, a really unpopular move, Hawk Harrelson, a guy who is a very divisive figure in the broadcasting world, I happen to like him, but I can see why people hate him. I totally get it.
I just don't like his home run call.
Yeah, stretch. Yeah, right.
You can put it on the bed.
Yeah, I know what you mean. All right, like, so anybody that wants to write in, that's fine. Like, I get it. Hawk can be a bit too much sometimes.
He can be a bit too much of a homer. I mean, I get all of the announcers are homers, but he's like a real homer.
He is. I'm surprised Steve Stone has made it this long without strangling.
Honestly, yeah. Right?
Because Steve Stone's a pretty mild-mannered guy. And I think Steve Stone's really good, too.
Well, and Steve Stone put up with Henry for all those years. That's got to be how he can put up with Hall.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I usually prefer the radio team anyway of Ed Farmer and Darren Jackson. If it was just like Stone, that would be awesome. If it was like, take like Ed Farmer and Steve Stone put together, I would be totally fine with that. A lot of people don't like Ed Farmer either, but anyway.
If just like out of a total, a bonus question, if you will, former Sox player that you would like to see paired with Steve Stone.
I'd have to have a little bit of a longer yardstick to measure his performance, but they brought in Aaron Rowan for a game or two,
yeah,
like a couple years ago, and I thought he did okay.
Okay,
I think he could grow into it.
This the last year or two since Ron Santo passed away, the Cubs they paired Pat Hughes with Ron Coomer, who was he was on the Cubs, I think, for like 1 year.
Yeah.
I think he might have been an all-star in his career once or twice, maybe. And I at first I wasn't sure I was going to like him, but he's grown on me. I mean, he's I think those guys are all, like you said, a little bit of a homer. That's kind of part of the gig.
Yeah, absolutely. Inevitable.
Yeah.
But yeah, some definitely take it way over the top.
Hawk can get grumpy when the team is he just won't say anything for long stretches.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just see him be like, "Son of a bitch."
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, he is. He's a fan. I mean, he's unabashed, in his fandom for the team. Where this all started. Sorry, I was going to backtrack about 5 minutes here. In 1986, Hawk was actually our general manager. And he was a pretty unpopular general manager as well because he fired Tony La Russa in '86.
Well, what was Tony La Russa going to... Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah, who?
Tony La Who?
Yeah. And he also, he kind of he blew... Like, one of those years in the mid-'80s, he blew up the team when we weren't that far out of first place as well. Yeah.
Just think, though, Hawk Harrelson saved you guys from a whole steroids controversy. Because
if you had Canseco,
Oh, right.
McGuire.
No, you know what I mean? Like if La Russa would have introduced,
He would have
the
accepted
Royals
all
to
of
the White
these guys
Sox instead of the A's.
Yeah, it's true. True. We did have Canseco briefly in 2000.
Right. He didn't have enough steroids then.
Very post-roids.
Yeah.
I still don't think he's post roids.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he can get away with it now.
It's probably such a build-up. Yeah.
Ventura, I think they could do it, Getz, to answer your question, because the media and the fan base is kind of clamoring for something drastic to happen right now. So this sort of heads will roll mentality has permeated.
Yeah.
You don't think a big trade could satisfy that?
Well, but I mean, we're sellers, I think, at this point.
Right.
You know, yeah. I would like to, great. You know, I would love to bring in some people, but I think
Samardzija.
I think we're sellers. Yeah, I mean, Samardzija, I don't think is going to finish the year in a White Sox uniform. No. He was just kind of. There were hopes that we would be competitive this year, and you know, we would kind of, if we made the playoffs or something at the end of the year, we'd maybe consider signing him to a long-term deal.
I'll admit I was like one of the first Cubs fans to be like, damn, I'm going to miss Samardzija. And now, you know, it's like, thank God for unanswered prayers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. He hasn't certainly pitched that well. He hasn't been like abysmal, but he hasn't pitched great. That said too, Levi, even though the Cubs have been successful, I don't think Lester's had a lot to do with it.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No.
He hasn't pitched like an ace.
His last outing a couple nights ago, he was back on track, and even Madden talked about it at the end of the game. You know, like that's the guy that we paid money to see or whatever. Sure. And you know, I can't say what it would be like. You know, he had to move. Right. He had to move to a new town. He had to get acclimated to a new team and a new ballpark. I mean, I guess he at least has
been a half a season too.
Yeah, he's got his catcher, which I guess is supposed to, you know, help him be.
I mean, the dude was in Boston for 10 years with one organization. Then all of a sudden he goes to the A's and then to Chicago.
The A's was just like a brief
style.
pit stop. You
know?
Yeah.
So I mean, in Chicago. Not everybody can transition to a city like that quick, you know. So he just may be having a little bit of trouble with that. Who knows?
He'll earn his money in the postseason. That's what he's being paid for.
Yeah, and that's what I think he's one of those pitchers too that his second half of the years are typically better than his first half of the years.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, it was still probably a good signing. I mean, he'll be fine. I think he'll
if
out.
We're sitting here at the end of September and I'm saying like John Lester didn't even get like 11 wins or something.
Yeah, 4.5 ERA.
Yeah. It might be a long next 6 years then. You know?
Right.
But but no, I think he'll smooth out. If it's not this year, he'll smooth out next year probably. You know, so I think he'll be fine. For us, I mean, lastly. Yeah, I think Ventura will get canned because I think I've got this. This is hard. This doesn't sound rational. I don't have a lot of, you know, sort of data or evidence to back this up. I just get this feeling in the air that the franchise wants to do something bold, and the people are clamoring to do something bold.
Ozzie Guillen.
Right. Bring Ozzie back. No, I mean, I think if we fire Ventura. I don't know if you guys remember him from baseball cards. I think he was a catcher for the Padres. Our bench coach is Mark Parent, and
I have an autograph of him. He was on the Cubs for like a year.
Oh, was he?
Okay. And he was one of the bums they sent to Springfield for the Cubs convention. it was like Mark Parent and like a pitcher named like Rafael Navoa or something.
Oh, I know you're
just
talking
like
about. Yeah.
It was like low level guys.
Yeah. He's the White Sox bench coach now, and I don't necessarily know what makes one bench coach better than the other, but he's pretty well liked. I think like he's in line for a managerial job somewhere down the road. Might not be with the White Sox, but I would assume that he would just take over for the rest of the year, and then they would have a wider search at the end of the season. So yeah, and then as far as trades go, I mean, I think obviously Samardzija would be the first person to go because offensively, I mean, we don't Abreu and Ramirez or Abreu and Garcia aren't going anywhere. I mean, they're young, they're cornerstones of the franchise at this point.
You see,
and maybe Alexei Ramirez.
I was going to say,
yeah,
I think Hugh is probably your juiciest trade bait.
Yeah, and he's struggled this year. You know, he's only like hitting like 240 or something like that, and his defense is very erratic. Like one night he'll look like he deserves a Gold Glove, the next night he looks like he deserves to like go to AAA.
Sounds like Starlin Castro.
Yeah, right. Both Chicago starting shortstops are extremely erratic.
Spotty.
They're just, it's feast or famine with both of those guys, Castro and Ramirez. I could see him maybe getting traded to a contender, and maybe, I hate to say this, not starting. Like maybe being like
a backup
for a contender.
Yeah, I mean,
and then maybe trying to reestablish himself and get on next year somewhere else and starting maybe somewhere else. But I'm kind of sick of the guy. Like he's been consistent, but he's a notoriously slow starter, and the defense, like I said, just I get frustrated because he does these amazing things, and then all of a sudden he can't turn a routine play. So unfortunately, we don't really have anything. I think, forget this kid's name. Maybe Tim Beckham. Or Tim Anderson is his name.
Tim Beckham was the former #1 pick for the Rays.
You're right. I'm sorry. Tim Anderson, I believe, is the kid's name that we've got, and he's kind of been matriculating for a few years. He was a first round pick. I don't know if he's going to be anything special or not. I think he's taken a little longer than people expected. So maybe we would have him, but yeah, Ramirez would be like the only player I think that would drum up some interest. So.
Levi, your comment on the scrubs coming down to St. Louis, or I'm sorry, Springfield, reminded me. Did you hear that story about the Marlins event like a month ago? They touted some vague, casino event. If you go to this, this fundraising event of some sort, you'll be at the casino with Marlins players.
Yeah.
And no Marlins showed up. It was voluntary for the team, and nobody really coordinated that somebody would show up because everybody volunteered to not show up.
Like little Joey the Bat Boy signed autographs all night.
Not even the Bat Boy. Bat Boy's like, screw that, I'm going to the club.
You're like Giancarlo Stanton, like impersonator or anything.
Nothing.
It was like wax figures of the team.
Yeah.
Whoops.
The last thing about Samardzija, what upsets me the most is like, I thought at the beginning of the year, in the off season when we got him, I was like, well, you know what? He'll pitch well even if the team doesn't play well, and we'll be able to get in a haul like the Cubs got last year when they got Addison Russell for him, right?
Yeah.
That's not going to happen now because I think his value's taken a hit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we'll give him away, but we're not going to get like the top tier prospect for him now.
The Cubs wouldn't trade Addison Russell for him.
I don't think so. Hey, Levi, I'm all ears. Man. All right,
Addison Russell just
Perfect.
hit a 2-run home run tonight.
That sounds fine by me. Yeah, I'll take like, I don't know, like 3/4 of Addison Russell for Samardzija. But yeah.
How about just a jersey? I'll give you a Russell
autographed.
Yeah. Okay, maybe an autographed jersey. All right. No replica either.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Sewn on letters, man.
Right.
Sewn on letters.
Last thing, in really a trooper, Dave Grohl broke his leg in Sweden, right? I believe. I think it was in Europe.
Yeah, I think it was Sweden Rock Fest.
Right, and they brought him back out, and you can see the footage and the performance of, and he's got a cast on his leg, and he's playing guitar. So really, this is just to salute Dave Grohl for being a real soldier of rock and roll. I've always been kind of, a little bit, I don't know. I've never been a huge Foo Fighters fan. Yeah, ambivalent probably. I think maybe indifferent is a better word than ambivalent, just because ambivalent seems like it there's some mixed emotions there. I've never been like, God damn it, the Foo Fighters, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've just always found their stuff maybe a little too slick for me, a little too overproduced. But I salute the guy. I think he seems like a good dude, and he certainly seems like a guy that's fighting the good fight.
Yeah, he's really passionate and
He
energetic about like rock
Definitely.
and roll in general.
And we need that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, a guy of his stature.
Seems like a guy that like would be good to his fans, you know, all of that. You know, he's
like the cool Jack White.
Yeah,
No.
right. He's like the Sean Casey of the rock and roll world, you know, like the guy that's really nice and like nobody has anything bad to say about.
Right,
You know,
right.
he's a good dude. Did you guys see like his 45th birthday party, that concert?
No.
Like it's like maybe earlier this year. It was a Foo Fighters show, and like I think it was in LA at the Staples Center or the Forum. And like Paul Stanley came out, Alice Cooper came out, David Lee Roth came out, I think Lemmy came out. Like it was pretty cool. Yeah, you can see the footage online.
Yeah.
You could see the the joy in his face, like basically all of his heroes coming out.
Sure.
You know, yeah. So pretty cool. Well, we talk a little bit about too, like some shows that have kind of gone on despite difficulties, sort of unexpected things that have happened, but yet the band still continued the show. The one that comes to mind with me is, I think with Kiss, I don't have the date here, so I apologize, but I know it was within like the late 90s or early 2000s that Peter Criss was out and they put the drum tech in makeup. Which that footage is, you can actually, there's footage of the show and it's like, oh wow, Peter looks a little bloated, you know, and then it's like, oh wow, it's not him. So that's the one that came to mind for me, but I'm sure there are others. You guys have any?
Oh yeah. Go ahead, Levi.
I was going to talk about, we had talked about this earlier and I got the facts now. So
Okay.
1973, Keith Moon has passed out after taking numerous large doses of horse tranquilizers.
Keith would just call that a Tuesday. All right.
It's like,
Right.
it's a Tuesday. And so, yeah, they like got him and took him to a shower.
The Cow Palace, was that it? The Cow Palace?
Here we go.
Near San Francisco? Sorry, go ahead.
No. Let's see if I can find the exact town. So they got like Keith into a shower and kind of like got him awake and brought him back, and then he passed out again. And so they asked, like basically Townsend was like, "Hey, does anybody know how to play the drums?" And I think maybe he was half joking, but this 19-year-old kid named Scott Halpin said yeah, and he filled in for him. And so
he was later in Warrant, by the way.
Really?
No.
Now let's see if I can find.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was the Cow Palace near
Isn't
San
there footage
Francisco.
of this?
It is Cow Palace. There's an actual Wikipedia for it.
Oh,
Here
a
we
devoted
go.
page.
Yeah, an actual devoted page. And so Cow Palace, San Francisco, 73. And he later on won the Rolling Stone Writers Pickup Player of the Year award for his performance. And so, okay, the story goes, they were playing their Quadrophenia tour. And it says Keith Moon had a fondness for drugs and alcohol, and he began to falter during Won't Get Fooled Again. He slumped over his drum kit and passed out. The house lights came up, and he was carried off stage by his roadies, who put him in a shower to revive them. Their efforts worked, and an injection of cortisone got him back on stage after 30 minutes. So they started Magic Bus. Well, the percussion of the song's opening verses consisted only of Moon hitting two wood blocks together. However, though,
Right.
when the drums were required, Moon only played for another minute before passing out again. He was then carried off, this time not to return. Guitarist Pete Townsend said that he had consumed large tranquilizer pills meant to be consumed by animals with large volumes of brandy. So
that'll do it.
That's breakfast.
It said the remaining 3 band members played See Me, Feel Me without drums, with Daltrey adding tambourine for the percussion.
I'd like to hear that.
The song received a huge response, and Townsend thanked the crowd for putting up with the 3/4 strength band. Instead of leaving the stage, though, Townsend asked the crowd, "Can anybody play the drums?" He repeated, adding forcefully, "I mean somebody good." And at this time...
Because he's got to be a dick about it, because that's...
Well, yeah, it's Pete Townsend.
Yeah.
And so it said Scott Halpin and his friend were at the left edge of the stage, and his friend Mike began noisily telling the security he could play, my buddy can play. Well, in truth, he hadn't played drums in a year, but his friend made enough of a commotion that it attracted Bill Graham. And he said, Bill Graham looked at me and said, "Can you do it, kid?" And I said, "Yes," straight out. Townsend and Daltrey then look around as they're surprised as I am, because Graham just throws me up there.
Awesome.
Well, I didn't realize Bill Graham was involved in that.
Said Halpin was given a shot of brandy before his nerves, and then was told to sit down behind the drum set.
But hold the horse tranquilizers.
Right.
That's for after the show.
And then he said, before they started, Townsend said to him, "Follow me, I'm going to lead you, I'll cue you."
Yeah.
And then Daltrey introduces him as Scott, and then they start playing Smokestack Lightning. It was a very loose blues jam, and his drum work fit in well enough. It shortly became Spoonful. Less successful, however, was when the band tried to go into the more complex Naked Eye, and he failed to provide the contrasting tempos.
Yeah. Stick to the blues standards.
Yeah, right.
Don't try to go to a Naked Eye.
Let's do a Mustang Sally or something. Right.
The show ended after Naked Eye, and he took a center stage bow with all the band. Afterwards, he was taken backstage with his friend and given a Who concert jacket, which was later stolen that evening, he said.
Oh, jeez.
Man.
Of course it was by Keith Moon.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. I want to say, like, is there footage of that?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
I'll try to
check
dig
that
some
out.
up and put it on the website.
Cool. Good stories, guys.
Yeah.
Jonathan, do you have anything?
I think I've talked about the Crows power outage that I saw in 2005 here in Kansas City.
That was at the old Memorial Soldiers and Sailors place,
right?
Soldiers
I don't even
and
know if they
Sailors
still
Hall.
have shows there, but it was in the middle of Bring On, Bring On. Power goes out. The band leaves the stage. I'm afraid they're going to be pissed and just leave and not play anymore. But they come back and pick up on the same note that they left off on Bring On, Bring On, and it made for a very memorable version of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I gotta get that. That bootleg's out there. I gotta get that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I have it.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, the 2005 fall 2005 tour. Anyway, do you guys have any recommendations or?
I do.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Are you kidding me? I went to. I traded in a bunch of my CDs at Love Garden Sounds in Lawrence and picked up. Love Garden Sounds gives you great trade for your. I took in a box and a half, $120.
Really?
A trade-in value. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't think anybody wanted them. Anybody wanted CDs. Yeah, that's great.
I'm gonna have to do a total turnaround to grab mine.
Including this isn't mine. I got the Physical Graffiti 40th anniversary 3-discer.
Nice. Levi, didn't you get the Physical Graffiti 40th anniversary on vinyl?
No, I the only Led Zeppelin remasters I have purchased is Led Zeppelin 2.
Okay.
And I think my next one I want to get is 3, and then probably Physical Graffiti. I have a really clean copy, an original copy, so I put off buying the double disc ones because they're a little more expensive.
Right.
I need to get the first one because my copy of Led Zeppelin 1 isn't that great on vinyl. But my recommendation this week is the Rolling Stones remaster of Sticky Fingers. And this is the regular version. It does not have a zipper. I put it on, of course the first song I put on is Can You Hear Me Knockin'? And I'll be honest, I didn't notice a ton of remastering on that song. Mm-hmm. And so the next song after that is You Gotta Move. And man, it's night and day. I could tell a huge difference.
Really?
Yeah,
that's a killer song.
And yeah, the acoustic instruments, you can hear each instrument like so clearly on this. And then I flipped it and listened to Bitch, and it's awesome as well, man. The horns sound great. So I recommend it, especially because when you find original copies of that record, they're always beat to hell because everybody partied their asses off while listening to that record.
Yeah. Not a lot of versions of Sticky Fingers that were only spun a couple times.
Yeah. No.
That Bitch that they did with Gary Clark Jr. a couple weeks ago was pretty good. He's on. He opened up a couple shows for him.
Yeah.
And they brought him out. It was good.
Yeah. Cool. I'll go. I picked this up while I was out in LA at a place called Rockaway Records on the east side of Silver Lake, and Courtney Barnett's new record.
That's good.
It's called Sometimes I Sit and Think and Sometimes I Just Sit, which is undoubtedly the greatest album title of the year.
That's a good title.
Yeah. But Courtney Barnett, this is her second record, and phenomenal songwriter. She plays rock and roll, and lyrically, it's pretty rare when I can remember. I'm not a guy who listens that deeply and memorizes lyrics. I just listen more to the inflection of the voice and the energy from the vocalist more than anything.
Right.
And but with her, I have her songs memorized after just a couple listens. Her lyrics are that impressionable, and highly recommend it. It's a totally addictive song. I'm gonna luckily enough see her tomorrow. Open up for Bill and Sebastian.
Oh, no kidding!
Here in town at the Uptown Theater. So yeah, Courtney Barnett's new record.
Nice. Yeah, Levi, have you heard that yet? That Courtney Barnett?
No.
It's good. You dig it, man. It's good. Yeah, it's kind of punky. Like she's got kind of a Patti Smith kind of vibe to her a little bit, but her lyrics are kind of funny sometimes too. Yeah, I guess like she's been a stand-up comic.
Oh, really?
Before as well.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I think so. Don't quote me on that, but I thought so. Yeah, it's good, man. You dig it.
I'll check it out.
Yeah. I'll actually go with it was a female lead singer as well. There's a band I like that I heard just recently a couple weeks ago called The Weather Station. That's from Canada. They're from Canada, fronted by a girl named Tamara Lindemann. And it's very, the first thing that comes to mind, like any review you read of it, and this is an okay comparison, is it's very Joni Mitchell. I mean, it sounds a lot like Joni Mitchell, and it's really well produced. The album is called Loyalty, the one that came out this year, and I really dig it. It's definitely like it's extremely chill, obviously, but it's really, really good. They've got a couple. The band has a couple other albums as well, which I've just started to listen to, but the one from this year seems like the one where they really, really kind of found themselves, and it's called Loyalty by The Weather Station. Cool. So the Canadian band. Check them out.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that is it. Everybody, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at RockInChew. That's Rock In as in Nancy Sinatra.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, right. The first one that came to mind. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram, as I said, at RockIn_Chew. And then also you can like us on Facebook, but you can find everything on our website at rockchew.com. You can find archived episodes, different videos of bands and concerts that we've talked about, as well as some baseball moments. So please tell all your friends, and we will see you next time. We got some good stuff coming up, actually, too. We've got a show coming up this summer that I'm really looking forward to as well, that we'll tell everybody about soon. So in conjunction with a big event coming up next month. So anyway, stay tuned, everybody, and have a good night.
Peace.